We're now in Dcad lesson 13D, and we're still dealing with drawing organization sheet notes. Now, in the last lesson, we moved some of the drawings into near position, and when we moved the roof framing plan, we left part of the north arrow down here. For some reason, we didn't quite catch that. We're just going to go ahead and delete that. Just selecting it, hitting delete. Selecting the other line, hitting delete. We're going to do the same thing on the other ones. Select them and delete them. And then I'm going to zoom up on this area here, hitting Z for zoom. And if you remember correctly, when we were dealing with our site plan, and I'm going to call that up real quickly. Site 1. The garage door opening was on the north side of the garage. There's our north arrow pointing up, and so on the north side is our garage door. So I'm going to just close this drawing real quick. And so what that means is that our north arrows here are all upside down. So what I'm going to do is because the garage is actually facing north, true north, we don't need a project north on these drawings. So I'm going to select each one of these and just hit delete to delete them. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select each one of these north arrows and set a point about here and hit R to rotate it 180. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Set the handle at that same point. Hit R for rotate and tap in 180. And then finally on this one, any other drawings that are plan view that have a north arrow will do the same thing as we move along. So I'm hitting R again for rotate and hit tab and then 180. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to point select mode and click out of it. That toggles it on and off. And select each one of these. Hold down Shift, and I can make multiple selections this way. Then I can toggle back on to point select mode, and you can see all the points. And I'm just going to scoot these guys up a bit. And it'll move them all the same at one time. So you can see how they're all moving. And just move it up a bit, because one of the things I want to do is I want to move all of this text, this title text up some. So now I'm going to hold down Control and use my scroll button to move out a little bit. And I'm going to select all these titles. I don't need the north arrows, just the titles themselves. And I'm going to use gravity move by hitting the comma to this handle and hit M for move and hold down Shift so it goes to my my small cursor step size, and just hold it up till it gets pretty close to that A section point. And hit enter, hit escape. So what that's done is that's moved all of these guys up a little bit. I may end up even moving the section arrows up at some point, just so I can have more room down below in the drawing. Also, I'm going to hit Control R to regenerate, gets rid of all that, all those lines that are generated. I'm going to select the foundation plan and move it over to the left just a little bit, grabbing my handle, gravity move with a comma, and hit M, and just take it over, maybe 2, and then hit enter. So that's a little more even spacing now between the foundation plan and the floor plan and the foundation plan and the roof plan. Now what I want to do is I want to shade in the walls on the floor plan. And the reason is it just makes them easier to see for the people doing the layout. A lot of times on a drawing there's a bunch of lines. And so anything that adds to the clarity of the drawings is usually a good thing. So I'm going to hit Z for zoom, and I'm going to zoom up to this floor plan area. And I have not selected a layer to do my wall shading, or what some people call poching. And I'm going to hit L for layers. And we have all 2,000 layers available right now, so we're going to thin that out a little bit by going to our layers filter here. And actually, before I do that, hit cancel. I'm going to make layer 17 my main floor hatching layer. And so I'm going to select that, double click on that, and I'm going to just type in, I'm going to hit caps and just type MFLR for main floor and hatch. And I'm going to make that current, my current active layer. And click OK. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter out some of these layers. So I'm just going to go to active or named layers only at this point in time, and that'll get rid of a whole bunch of layers that is just going to hide them. And I'm going to click OK. So now we have, we're going to be in layer 17, and it's going to be our main floor hatching, poching, or shading, whatever you want to call it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use the hatch fill command. And so in order to do that, I'm going to go up here to the drop down menus, and where it says draw, I'm going to click on that, and it goes down to hatch. And then I'm going to go down here to hatch fill and click on that. Now this gives me a particular type of hatch, and gives me right now what is currently the default scale of the hatch and the angle of the hatch and that sort of thing. So you can also see it has a same as box here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit escape here real quick, because in my drawings, what I do is, as part of the drawing that I opened up with the borders, I have a layer 20, which is a lines layer. So I'm going to hit L for layers, and I'm going to go to 20, and I'm just going to activate that. Now you can see it's come up, and it's not just lines though. It also has a little hatching area, right here. It says floor plan hatch. And so what I can do is, and it has its own color and everything. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to go over here and activate the info box, and you can see that it's not black. It's actually a gray layer. And if I click on change color, you can see that it has for red, green, and blue, they're all 120. So click OK. So and this arrow here, you can slide up and down this arrow to make it darker, lighter, or darker. And I'm going to get back to 120. If I can get it right there, and click OK. And it also, what I'm doing is I'm using the dashes for my hatching for the main floor walls, and this also tells me that they're on an angle of 45 degrees, and the scale is 0.05. So that gives me all the information on the hatching that I want to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit click on the draw, go down to hatch fill, and then I'm going to move this down out of the way a little bit. I'm going to use the same as command. You can see the pointy finger there, and I'm going to click on that floor plan hatch, actual hatching, and now you can see that it's actually changed the hatch scale angle to our current hatching. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click in the wall here. And you can see that it automatically just fills that whole area with a hatch fill. It stops at the door, and it also stops at the window. So I have two other areas that I need to do that in. So I'm going to go back to draw, hatch, and hatch fill. And I'm going to click in this area down here, and it fills that one. Now I can just repeat that command by hitting F3. So hit the F3 key, and it's just going to repeat the last command that I used, and I'm going to click in this area here. Now I'm going to zoom up on this to see how viewable it is. So you can see it'll give us some shading as I zoom out a little bit. You can see the shaded walls a little better. And so what this does is that this makes the floor plan walls a little easier to distinguish from other lines. So now I'm going to go to layers, and I'm going to turn off layer 20 because I don't need the lines right now. And I'm going to click OK. So I can hit Control W to zoom out to the full extent of the drawing. And so we have our three drawings up at the top here pretty much ready to go for sheet notes. Now, the additional drawings that I need to try to squeeze onto the sheet are I'm going to want to do a wall bracing plan. Some people call it lateral. And I'm going to use the floor plan to do that. Basically, we need to show where our wall bracing is going. I'm also going to do a section drawing, and that section drawing will be at a larger scale than 1/4 inch. I'll probably do it at 3/8 inch equals 1 foot. It's a little bit bigger. It's half again the size of 1/4 inch. So it makes parts of the section drawing a little more easily visible. And then I also am going to want to do a detail on the eave, or the freeze blocks, at the eaves, so we can show how those are vented and everything. So what I'm going to do right now, and we also need to squeeze in the roof plan. This is 1/8 inch scale here, so hopefully we can fit all that in there. We'll just see how it squeezes in. If we have to do another sheet, then we'll just do another sheet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to basically steal the floor plan and just select the whole enchilada here and make my selection rectangle rather large so I have a handle that's down and out of the way of anything. And I'm going to hit N for duplicate, and I'm just going to gravity move using the comma to the handle there and just start arrowing down about like so, and hit enter. So now I have a duplicate of the floor plan. So we don't really need the section arrows on the wall, what was going to be the wall bracing plan, because the section is really pretty well taken care of with the floor plan, the foundation plan, and roof framing plan. So I'm going to zoom up on this now and select a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to go out of toggle off of point select mode, so I can just make selections like this and hold down Shift using the rectangular selection method, and also click on the, if I can get it, I'm going to hit delete just to get rid of those section arrows. Click back into point select mode and select and hold down Shift and select all of the dimensions which I no longer need, at least not for this portion of the drawing. And I'm also selecting the door and window size information, and I'm deleting all of that. Just selected all that stuff and hit delete. So now I'm going to want to change the title of this drawing, and I'm going to want to put the text in a different layer. So I'm going to hit L for layers, and I'm going to scroll down to layer 42, which is main floor wall bracing. And I'm going to make that my current active layer. And I'm going to click OK. Now I'm going to select this floor plan text and actually move that into layer 42. Actually, I should select the whole thing here. Hit Escape, select the whole thing, and put that all in layer 42. Okay, so now I need to zoom up here a little more closely so I can get the actual hatching. Select it, delete it, select it, oops, missed. Select the hatch, delete it, select the hatch, delete it. Selections tend to want to default to the nearest line rather than hatching. This center line I can get rid of by selecting it and deleting it also. So now we have something that we can work with for our wall bracing plan. So one of the things we're going to need to do is change the text here, the drawing title. So I'm going to just hit V for vector. I'm going to make a little temporary V here. I think I'll make it red so it's easy to see, and hit my scroll button. What I'm doing is I'm creating a consistent space between my text for floor plan and text for the scale. So I'm going to select this floor plan text, pull up my info box, and change that to wall bracing plan. Okay, now I'm moving my info box out of the way temporarily here, and right-clicking to snap to my spacer V there, and also right-clicking on the scale note. I'm going to hit M for move, and just move it here first, and then left-click, and then hit M, because that way it gets it out of the way here. And I'm hitting M for move again, and right-clicking at the bottom of the word plan. Hit Escape, and right-click and select my V and hit delete and get rid of it. So now we have a new title for this that's called wall bracing plan. So what we need to do is we need to provide some information about the wall bracing. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to import a wall bracing grid so that we can reference which braced wall lines we're talking about on the plan. So I'm going to import a symbol. I'm going to hit Control F9, and I'm going up one layer. Right now it's in the symbols in the sheet portion of the symbols, and I'm going to go up one level and then scroll down to Sim. Stands for symbols, and these are all actual symbols folders for various items, various symbols. So I'm going to double click on Sim and click on Name to make sure that I'm going alphanumerically. Scroll all the way down, and we're looking for wall bracing grid, wall brace grid 25. Okay, I'm going to click on that and just import it. And I'm going to use my scroll to scroll out. I'm going to go ahead and explode that symbol. Go over here to the selection explode and click that. So this was set up for, to use with houses or whatever. We just have a relatively small garage, so there's some of these that we don't even need. So the M stands for main floor, and you can use the same kind of wall bracing grid for upper floors or lower floors or whatever by changing the M to a different letter. If it was an upper floor, instead of being MA, it would be UA. So right now I'm going to select this MC, which I don't need because I only have 2 walls in that are going in that direction. Select and hit delete, and I don't need M3 because I only have 2 walls that are going in that direction. And hit delete. So this is way bigger than I need for it to be because it's just a small garage. Look at the comparison here. So I'm going to select these 2 lines, these 2 horizontal lines, and then I'm going to select their endpoints that points at the end, and I'm going to hit H to toggle into orthogonal mode up here, and I'm going to right click on this upper one, and it'll keep it nice and horizontal and pull it back to about here somewhere. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the verticals. I'm going to select both of those and then select the endpoints, and I'm still in orthogonal mode, so I'm going to right click on it and just move this guy straight on up like so. So now I'm going to actually select both of these and stretch them down a bit because they're just bigger than I need them to be. So I'm hitting stretch, and I'm going to go like so, 1, 2, and then right click and arrow down a ways. And I think these guys here, I'll just select them and move them. And I'm going to my handle and getting close to it and gravity moving using the comma and hit M. And I'm just going to arrow over, so maybe too far. Back a little bit. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 2 verticals and I'm going to just select them, and this leftmost one, I'm going to put a handle on it using the set selection handle and hit K. So I snap to the line and set the point and hit enter. I'm going to hit M for move. I'm just going to take this over to the corner of the garage here and right click to it. And I'm going to zoom up here so I can see this right line, and I'm selecting it, and I'm going to just hit V for vector and draw a little line here, and hit H for orthogonal and go K here. And so what I'm doing is I just drawn a little line so I can keep this all nice and even. I want to set a handle. I just drew a little line hitting vector and using the orthogonal mode so it would be straight. So if I set a handle right here, I can just scoot it over to this corner. So I'm going to use set selection handle, right click here, hit my scroll button to initiate the command, hit M and scoot it right over here, hit escape. Now I'm going to select, oops, I noticed I didn't get my circle. Let's try that again. Control Z, and I'm going to select the circle also. Now it's selected, and hit M, and right click, hit escape, select my little reference line here and hit delete. I don't need that any longer. And as I can see, that this is still way long. So I'm going to select these two lines and then use a rectangular selection box to select their endpoints. And I still in orthogonal mode, so I'm going to right click to go to this handle and just scoot it right on up to about like so. Okay, so these are my MA braced wall line and my MB braced wall line. So now I'm going to select these two vertical ones, and horizontal lines, and so I'm going to select them like so, and just select both of them, and I want to set a handle on this guy about here. So I'm going to go to set selection handle and get near that point and just hit K. And as you can see, it wants to set a handle there. And I'm going to hit my scroll button to initiate the command. Just put a handle on that line. I'm hitting M and just moving this guy right about, get near that corner and right click, and it snaps to that corner. And you can see my upper one's just a little bit too high, you might say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit escape, and I'm just going to zoom up here, hit Z to zoom up on this upper line and the wall, and I'm going to select this upper line and the M1, and then I can set a handle right at this junction of these two dashed lines now, because it aligns with this corner. So I'm going to go to set selection handle and scooting this out of the way, and over here you'll see where it says intersect 2. It has an I and a 2. I'm just going to click on that. And if I click on these two lines, you can see it's hard to see, but it's wanting to put a handle right there. So I click on this one and this one, and so hit escape so you can see that more clearly. If I go to intersect 2, and I need to hit H to toggle out of orthogonal mode. If I go to intersect 2 and click on that, and I click on this line, and you can see a little box there, and click on this one, it snaps to it, and then I hit my scroll button, and it initiates that command. I hit M, and just bring it on down, and get near the corner and right click, and hit escape. And now I can zoom out using my scroll button. Hold down Control, and I'm going to shorten these two lines a little bit too. So I'm going to select each one of those, use a rectangular selection, and hit H to go back into orthogonal mode, and right click on this one and just pull it over just a little bit further, about like so. So now we have 4 noted braced wall lines: MA, MB, M1, and M2. Notice that that the vertical lines are designated by a letter, MA or MB, and the horizontal lines are designated by a number, M1 or M2. Helps us keep the horizontal and vertical lines sorted out when we're referencing these braced wall lines. So now what we got to do is we need to actually put our wall bracing in. And so in order to do that, I'm going to hit Control F9, because we're looking for another symbol. And I'm still in the folder Sim, and I'm going to scroll on down near the bottom for wall bracing. And let's see, wall brace 1. Boy, that was created in '99. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to double click on that. I'm going to single click, and you can just kind of get an idea of what it is over here. And I'm going to go ahead and click open and just place it over here. And I'm going to explode that symbol, and I'm going to zoom up on that area. And so we're not doing any portal frames or alternate brace panels. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select those guys and get rid of them. Hit delete. And these, I'm going to turn all of these black. Click on the black color and then A for apply to selection. And I'm going to actually change this dashed line here for the brace panel type. I'm going to select that, and it's a dashed line. I'm going to change that to a hidden line, and I'm going to change its scale to 1, and I'm going to change its thickness to 0.0606. And that makes, actually, I think I'll make it 0.08. It'll be thicker that way and easier to see. So that's a good heavy line. So basically, this is indicating that this is what a braced panel looks like. And so I'm going to Control W to zoom out. Take this little brace panel drawing and move it down here because it's referencing brace panels in this specific drawing. I'm going to hit Z for zoom. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start placing these brace panels in the wall itself. And so I'm just going to use this line and hit Z for zoom. And I'm going to hit I'm going to hit N to duplicate it. And I'm just going to go to this inside corner right now and gravity move using the comma. And I'm just going to come down 2 inches. And so I'm going to hit the point relative command, which is the quote. And then I'm going to hit 0 and then hit tab and -2 inches, and it brings it down so that you can actually see that. Actually, I'm going to change that. I'm going to go to here. I'm going to bring it down 3 inches so it's a little closer to the outside of the wall. Tab -3 inches. Okay, so now I'm going to hit E, and I'm going to actually go out of orthogonal mode. Hit H to go out of orthogonal mode. And I'm going to trim to this line, and then hit E again, and trim to this line. And now I'm taking my brace panel note and selecting that and hitting N and putting it right here. So I'm going to do the same thing at the other side. And so I'm just going to select this and select the note and come over here, and I'm going to hit N to duplicate. I'm going to this, and I'm going down. I'm going to just hit 5.5 inches in the X dimension because that'll take me all right to my corner. I'm still hitting tab, still at coming down 0.25 feet, which is 3 inches, and hit enter, and it's placed it there and also placed the text by it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this note here and select that, and I'm going to move it to the center of duplicate it to the center of the drawing. I'm going to hit N and just make a duplicate of it. And zoom here. And the reason is, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this on this back wall, which is all braced wall lines. So I'm just going to select it, and I'm going to set a handle at the end of it. Right click. Hit my scroll button to initiate the command, and I'm going to hit N to duplicate, and this one I'm going to gravity move to the corner, and this time I'm going -5.5 inches and then up 3 inches. And it places it there and puts the text by it. Now I'm selecting this line, and I'm just going to use the extend command and bring it out till it's really pretty close, a little bit past it. Hit Z for zoom so I can see more clearly. And I'm going to hit E and trim to this line. So now, and this note, the brace panel note, I'm going to select that and just hit M for move and just move it over toward the center somewhere and hit enter. Okay, so the whole rear wall is essentially a braced wall panel. Okay, and so what we have now is we need to deal with our vertical portions, within which the braced wall lines are broken by both on this side a door and on the other side a window. So I'm going to just take this guy and rotate it R tab -90, rotate counterclockwise 90 degrees, and I'm going to set a handle here on the end of the line, and I'm going to hit N to duplicate, and I'm going to zoom up on this corner a little bit closer so I can see better, and I'm hitting N to duplicate, and I'm gravity moving to this corner, hitting the comma, and I'm going to go over to the right 3 inches, and I'm going up 0. Okay, and so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to see all the artifacts that Dcad's leaving these days. I'm going to hit Control-R to get rid of them, and I'm going to bring this line by just using E, which is the trim command. Right-click at the end of it here and come up to the edge of the door, and there we have it. So now, scroll out a little bit. I'm going to move this text up a little bit. Just select it and hit M for move, and I'm going to move it up the wall about to the center there. And so now I'm going to take this same line and select it on the end right here. Actually, I'm going to just select a line somewhere and the text for brace panel, and by holding down Shift, and I'm going to set a selection handle to the outside of the wall here, to where the line terminates, and right-click there and hit my scroll button to set a handle. Because now I'm going to scroll up here, hit Control-R to get rid of the artifacts, and hit N to duplicate, and right-click to this outside corner. And because this door was centered, see that this line actually terminates at the upper door portion there. So that took care of that nicely. So we're going to do the same thing on this other wall. One of the things that we need to do, though, is we're going to need to move the BP text to the outside of the wall, but we'll do that in a few. So I'm going to select this. I'm setting a handle at the end of the line, right-clicking at the end of the line and hitting my scroll button to initiate the command, hitting Z right here, and I'm going to this time use M to move it. M, go to the corner here, gravity move using the comma, and I'm going to come in just minus 2.5 inches, and then I'm going to scroll out a little bit, and I'm going to hit Escape, and I'm going to hit E and right-click on the end of this line, and then click at this window edge there. And I'm going to move this text by hitting M out here. Okay, so now, just like we did on the other side, I'm going to select the end of this line, or just select this line, and I'm also going to select the text that says BP. Now here we have the windows, because the windows actually project out from the wall. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to set a handle where this window line intersects with the wall. And again, that intersect to is really handy, because it basically lets you intersect two lines. Before I do that, I'm going to hold down Control and zoom up on this area a little bit so we can see a little more clearly. And so this is where I want to set my handle, right here. So I'm going to hit intersect to, left click on it, and I'm going to click on this. Hit that again. I'm going to click on this line. It's not working. Okay, let me try that again. And select that again. Zoom up on it and try enter. I need to set selection handle. Use a command first. Okay. So now I'm going to hit intersect to, and I'm going to click on this line, just somewhere on this line, and then you can see the little square there, and I'm going to click on the window line. Left click, and it snaps right to the intersection of those two lines, and I hit my scroll button that initiates the command and sets a handle. So now I can hit Control and scroll out a little bit and zoom up on this corner, hitting Z, and hit N to duplicate and right-click on the corner, and there we have it. And so you can see that braced panel stops at the window. So essentially what we have is brace panels, because this is going to be a continuously sheathed structure. We have brace panels everywhere where there's not doors or windows. So we have the garage door that basically interrupts the brace panels on this north wall, and nothing interrupting it on the south wall. And then on the east wall, it's interrupted by the door. On the west wall, it's interrupted by the window. Okay, So I'm zooming out on that now. So we have our wall bracing plan pretty much knocked out. So I'm hit Control W to zoom out. I'm going to save the drawing. And that completes Dcad lesson 13D, having still to do with drawing organization and sheet notes. And we'll get to those sheet notes here pretty soon.